So first and foremost, before I start, just some basic housekeeping rules here, or rather some anecdotes. First and foremost, we want to keep it as casual as possible, so it's not like super serious, academic discourse. No, nothing like that. In fact, we didn't make a huge amount of preparation anyway, except for preparing the slides, and we want to make it as conversational as possible. So having said that, we welcome any sort of questions or comments as we present. Of course, do pay attention to the sort of flow that's happening, and we welcome any sort of participation as we go along. So the entire talk today, I think it will last for about 2 hours, I believe, up to 5 p.m. Of course, after that, you're more than welcome to talk to Prof. Hasnul, by any means. I'm sure you'll want to do that. So also on that note, I do want to point out that we do have a publication here, a free giveaway. We have a height view over there, as you can see. This is over here. This is a reprint of the sort of first solo show, right, of Prof. Hasnul upon his return from US in the 90s. Again, this is available. Please take with you when you leave. And Prof. Hasnul was also kind enough to bring some leftover catalogs of my solo show, Fermentation. Sorry for the plug, unfortunately. So that is also available, and you can also have a copy of that. I guess there's no point for us keeping a lot of books since it's just rotting away. So please, help yourself, take those books, and make good use of it in any way possible. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce Prof. Hasnul. I've known Prof. Hasnul personally for about now like 20 years, and we are not directly connected in a sense like I was never a student of Prof. Hasnul. Just to make sure it's clear out there, I know there's a lot of ex-students of Prof. Hasnul is there. I was never privileged to study under Prof. Hasnul, nor Niranjan. However, along the way, I pursued fervently in terms of gaining knowledge and sort of all sorts of understanding of new media from both of them. Prof. Hasnul does not need any introduction. He's well known in the local art scene. Importantly, I would say during the 90s, especially in foregrounding the sort of thinking and theories along electronic art. And of course, as all of you know, the first electronic art show that was curated by Prof. Hasnul and Niranjan in the 90s is still a landmark even today. It's a document that we refer in terms of talking about electronic art in our local scene. So in that sense, he's a very prominent figure, and he is well knowledgeable in terms of how do we talk about electronic art and new media, especially one that is concerned as we participate in a global discourse. What is our stake in this domain, in this area? So there is a lot of critique and post-colonial take on this, which I think would be very helpful, especially for me personally, in terms of thinking through the sort of practices that we have and how do we make sense of this new medium that we are embracing as we go along. So without further ado, let me quickly just to give an overview of the presentation today. So it's divided into 4 sections. Number 1 is interpretation. Number 2 is key principle and paradigm shift. Number 3 is theories, and number 4 is practices. So I am not going to explain what these are. We will go through this, and hopefully this will make sense. And of course, again, I invite all of you for any sort of conversation as we go through this sort of discussion on these four areas that we have identified. Okay, without any further ado, Prof, any sort of introduction before we go further?
I can sing.
Yes, I'm well aware of that.
Thank you, Roopesh, for the introduction. Thank you, Rahel, for inviting me. Thank you, Gallery ILHAM. I haven't been to Gallery ILHAM
A very long time.
first time I went to the cafe. Yeah. So this is the first time, and also first time I have my work in the current show, which I think is extremely nostalgic for me. Yeah. Okay, so I start with interpretation.
Yes, please, please.
I call it interpretation instead of definition, because when we deal with art, there is no objective or ultimate definition of anything. So I don't like to use the word definition, even though sometimes we ask our students to come up with their own operational definitions, almost like definitive, you know. So I like to call it interpretations. We use the word new media or new media art. That's a new word actually. Okay. Before that, it was not new media art.
Right.
When I was studying in the USA, the term for it was electronic art.
This is in the
1993.
1990.
So I went to the United States. I went to this place called IEA Studios, Integrated Electronic Arts Studios, in Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and I received my master's in electronic art. So it was called electronic art.
Prof, that was a MFA, right?
MFA, electronic art. Before that, or concurrently with that, it was referred to, it was called time-based art. I applied for time-based art as well, because I went there to take my first degree, my bachelor's in painting. I was given a scholarship to do painting by ITM.
Right.
So I took my undergraduate degree in USA, in Southern Illinois University, in painting. But then when I was supposed to do masters in painting. My scholarship stated that I was supposed to do masters in painting. But then I don't know what happened to my mind then. I said, I was so probably then bored with highly academic fine art training, very repetitive and redundant for me then. So I, instead of applying for paintings, I applied few, but was rejected.
For master's program.
In painting.
In painting.
I applied to Maryland few. I asked them why my portfolio was rejected. They told me, you were not a painter. So I said, oh man, I got problem. I have to do my master's in painting. That's my scholarship. So I had to find other programs. One review told me that I was multidisciplinary. Okay, I didn't know much about that then. So proposing to me to apply for a more multidisciplinary program. So I was in panic state when he went there, look up for the different brochures and so on and so forth. I saw one in Chicago Art Institute, time-based art. Another one in Florida, I forgot the name of the program. Another one in CalArts, California Institute of Art. Very difficult to get in.
Very competitive.
At that time, these programs allowed artists to pursue to master's program, but not through the conventional fine art training. And it was very limited, very difficult to go in. And then I saw a poster in my school, Masters MFA in Electronic Arts. I didn't know anything about it.
This is just to give a context, right? You're talking about RPI in Troy, upstate New York. And this is the first time, you're the first batch to actually enroll.
I applied, I came up with my portfolio, and then I didn't know, I was thinking that okay, aku kena balik lah ni, aku tak dapat habis masters ni, aku balik kan dengan malu lah kan. But suddenly I received a letter saying that selected. So I was selected as one of the 8 pioneer students. That program. So I didn't know anything at all about it. Right. I just knew I went there with the knowledge of digital collage by Ismail Zain. Okay. And I knew that I was multidisciplinary because most of the things that I did in my portfolio were very multidisciplinary. Okay. So I was admitted. It was a journey of discovery lah kan. I came out of my coconut shell. Coconut shell. If you look at my work, kedek ong tu. That was me. Coconut shell. But then I out of coconut shell, but trapped in a video monitor. Anyway.
Which so we will talk later.
I went to RPI. So it was called Electronic Art. And there's this institution, I don't know, organization that few books use electronic art. Then it was new term. New term back then. What's electronic art? Even the chairman of RPI came down to our studio, randomly point at me, can you tell me what is electronic art? So I said, I don't know, I'm from Malaysia. I'm a third world country. I don't know anything. So it was very new lah, kan? Right. But in an organization called International Society of Electronic Art. Acronym is IZEA. And you participated in IZEA. So IZEA used something like this. If I can read it.
Or you can see it even here.
No, not clear. Aku rabun. The term electronic art refers to artworks that use electronic and digital media as their means of production and presentation. So that's very easy. When you use electronic art, it can be both analog and digital. Analog and digital. Okay? Time-based is much more open-ended. Electronic art a bit specific. You need to use electricity. But then it can be electronic and time-based. Even when I was in my studio, when I was doing my masters, the editing system, the studio is as big as a room. It was not a digital system yet. So I want to quote here from Oi Kok Chuan. During the 90s, he was very active, reviewing, reporting, and writing about the arts, including electronic art. So I owe him lah. So kita quote daripada dia. Electronic art is often associated with new media art, with video art at its core, thriving in the 1990s as part of cross-disciplinary project and site-specific presentation. Site-specific tu sama dengan seni di lokasi kan?
Bukan.
Kita tak mau bincang seni di lokasi walaupun anda seorang hakim.
This is not the place.
Seni di lokasi kan? Jadi bukanlah sesuatu yang baru kan? Okay.
But before that, I also want to add to this thought of, I think there's a bit more to add on the RPI because part of my research, and I did take initiative to visit RPI in the year, I think in the year 2004, 2005. And I have to add here, and I have to declare this here, Prof, because when I mentioned the name, I'm coming from Malaysia and I know Hasnul Jamal Saidon. Believe me, the professor came down, personally met me, he took me out for dinner, and he drove me back to New York, just because I know you.
Oh, Rolling.
Rolnik, yes. Rolnik was so, he has a very fond memory of you and...
My godfather.
yeah, so it's... to some extent, what I'm trying to say here is there's a reputation of you in RPI, and it's also part of something that I've learned, like how important figure you are in RPI's history to some extent.
They offered me a job.
In RPI.
They said, don't go back to Malaysia. What are you going to do in Malaysia? Yeah, so they offered me a job, but then I had to come back. Anyway, next slide.
Yeah. So, and another thing on IZEA also, I do want to add that in 2008, right, we did a duo show with yours and Niranjan's work, and we presented your work when IZEA came down to Singapore. And I also want to highlight, like IZEA, it's sort of like a pretty pinnacle in terms of electronic art, and getting to show your work and curate in IZEA is a big sort of recognition and acknowledgement of your work and your contribution to electronic art practice globally. It's not about just Malaysia, globally in that discourse, how important you are. So I think again, when I proposed to do the show in 2008, the IZEA committee had no objection whatsoever. They immediately approved my proposal, and in fact, they even offered financial support to make sure the exhibition happens. So again, another plug, that you can get the relocation catalog. I think it's still in MGTF. Okay, Prof. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, this is just a mind teaser. I like to use fancy terms just to tease my mind. So instead of just using electronic art, why don't we use electromagnetic art? So we know that electromagnetic is one of four fundamental forces. You are Star Wars fan, you say may the force be with you. Actually, there are four forces here, one of which is electromagnetic. So when we talk about electromagnetic, then we talk about light, we talk about wave, or particle, or wavicle, we talk about energy. But I leave it that way, I leave it here so that I can come back to this later.
Right, just an introduction, teaser.
So teaser. Okay, so next slide. Now we go to the word new media art. There are three words there: new, media, art. So don't ask me what is art. Don't go there. But I can give my interpretation of what is art. For me, from my POV, from my experience, art is an exploration of complex human subjectivities. We have consciousness, and our consciousness flow in two streams. One is the objective stream, another one is the subjective stream. If we only entertain the objective stream, which is supposed to be done by people in the sciences with empirical knowledge based on tangible,
evidence,
measurable evidence, like most people in USM obsessed with, we will leave out and ignore the subjectivities. Okay. And now we have this intersubjectivities, this discourse, so which is very critical. So we have these two streams, the objective stream and the subjective stream. We engage in art to explore these complex human subjectivities, which is extremely complex, because there's no definite definition. So we know that, and that's why the arts is very important. Eventually, it has to converge back, these two streams. It's like a feedback into this singular consciousness. So we need to converge that with the sciences. But the arts and the sciences are what I call dance of the opposites. In Sufi term lah kan. It's a complementary opposites, not antagonistic opposites. But somehow along the line, educationally, we have scientists like putting down artists like those are stupid, get bad grades in SPM, you go and become an artist because we are more superior being than you, because we are thinking in a logical way. So I found that is antagonistic. That's not what it's supposed to be. So exploring and also expressing subjectivities. So it can be anything.
Right.
Normally through a particular medium, techniques, technology, methodologies, set of tools.
Yeah.
And also set of skills. Okay, that's my definition of art. Settle,
Interpretation.
my interpretations, I'm sorry. Settle. New,
Media.
we'll go to that.
Yeah.
New later. Now media. So next slide. So this is the typical interpretation of new media lah. New media art refers to different types of creative output based on computer process. So this is more definitive. So if you are doing analog, not new media.
Yeah.
Okay, you Kamal Sabran, you pasang-pasang wayar, you masuk sana masuk sini pakai wayar kan, no digital, no
purely analog.
110. You have to call his work electronic art, not new media by this definition, by this interpretation. So as one of several trajectories of contemporary art practice and taking off from the field of fine art as purely expressive practice without applied dimension, new media art has often been referred to by many, in fact so many different terms, such as computer art, digital collage for Ismail Zain kan, digital print, online art, Niranjan kan, sometimes they call it web art, cyber art, ada yang cakap information art, data art, now we have crypto art kan. So many different interpretations and names. Next one. So I go to media. My interpretation of media based on my own practical engagement and my readings is not technical. It's not technical. I'm not a technical person. So when we use the word media, what does it mean? Kau buat apa? Media art lah kan. Buat apa media art? So what is actually media? What is media? What does it mean by media? Is it a new word? Is it an English word? Is it a fancy term? Is it something? Because we would use the word new kan. So anything that is before new itu old lah kan. So what is it actually media? So I'd like to go back to the origin of the word, which is in Sanskrit, madhya. Madhya means center or middle. So aku ni professor center lah. Dalam bahasa Melayunya, associate professor is Profesor Madhya. Dulu sewaktu saya kurang cerdik, saya ingat Profesor Madhya tu seperti Profesor Adjung atau Profesor Emeritus kan. Jadi dia bukan sekadar seorang profesor, dia Profesor Madhya lagi tau. So what it means is center, middle. Also by other words, madhyas, madhyos, also medius, which all means middle, di tengah-tengah, in between. So if we use that description, you buat what kind of art? Art tengah-tengah lah, middle art.
Yes. Mediator.
I mean in a literal way lah kan. So next slide. So madhya is a Sanskrit word that can be translated also as moderate or centrally, or in the middle. It can be used to give a spatial reference, for example, describing a location as being central. But it can also be used to refer to golden middle, or middle way, or middle path. These are all from cosmological, spiritual. I don't like to use the word traditional, but for the sake of comprehension, traditional interpretation of the word media. Maybe there are some other interpretations, maybe Western-based interpretations, but I like to refer to this framework.
Why is it, Prof? I know, one of the dominant things in the discourse is, this is what it's being taught in the universities and all that, very much following the Western model, right? And everybody is feed into this sort of definitions that's coming from the West. Why do you think it's important to define it in this way?
If you ask me why I found this interpretation to be more sensible and it makes sense. That's it. That's how I can answer that.
To us?
For me.
Oh, okay.
POV, I'm not representing anybody. It makes sense. That's it. Some interpretations doesn't make sense. It's nonsense. I go to the next slide. I'm getting old, so sorry. Okay. In Kashmir Shaivism, Madhya can be referred to as supreme consciousness. Some other words, high consciousness, high awareness. What is it? Just know supreme consciousness. I cannot explain. So I leave it to you guys. If you are interested, the answer will come to you. No matter how good I am, how articulate I am, for the time being, for today, just remember supreme consciousness or higher consciousness. Then you can Google or whatever, or ask AI. AI will answer. Very good. So what is it? It's the self. I think it's self with big S. Or the heart, in Malay, kalbu, in Arabic lah. Kalbu. Oh, media art ada kaitan dengan kalbu. Tak tahu selama ni aku praktis kan. Kan. Hashtag deep. Kalbu. Bawah Instagram. Hashtag deep. Deep though. So, here, Madhya can also be used interchangeably with, I don't know anything about this, Sushuma, but I like the word Nadi. So there you go, another word. Came into the picture, Nadi. Also Sanskrit word. Okay, Nadi. What is Nadi? Pathway through which, ni kau kena tahu lah, kalau kau tak tahu kan, kau tak boleh lulus ni. Dari segi ethnic identification kan. Kundalini energy arises. You want to know, you guys want to know Kundalini, you have to ask Roopesh Sitharan. Then he can go back to his own identification. So meditation in this tradition may be described as pathway to Madhya, to higher consciousness. So when I went through this, I found it to be profound. I thought that I was just playing with gadget. Kan, pasang wayar kan. Taruh tu guna software, rebuk kan. Fuyo kan. Rupanya dia hashtag deep. Next slide. Okay, we go to Nadi. What is Nadi? I'm sorry, I remember balik. We say one is center kan, middle. What is middle? So visually, because we are visual people, we have something in the middle and then another parameter kan. So the diameter must be equal. So center means zero lah. It's not left, it's not right, it's not up, it's not down. What is zero? I just teach before lah, zero. Or it can be from point A to point B if you look at it in the linear way. But it has to be that center. So not even slightly left, not even slightly right. So now we go to nadi, pathway, media, madya. So it reminds me of, this is my own fancy term lah. Orang asyik guna internet, aku kata internet lagi penting daripada internet. So what is internet? Internet is within each and every one of us, in our own body. We have two forms of nadi. One is our blood system, another one is our nerve system. I know this very well because I used to be diagnosed as having, before another diagnosis, I was diagnosed as having problem with my nerve. They put me inside this MRI, macam dalam kubur kan. They scan my brain, something was wrong with my brain, and the diagnosis was that I had this spasm, apa dia panggil tu? Involuntary muscle movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So things move on its own.
On its own because why is that, doctor? You must be a lecturer. You tahu kan? Why? You think too much. Biasalah macam kau kan, nak KPI lah, nak apa kan, higher ranking lah kan. You think too much. So is that the source of this spasm? Yes. Is there a medicine for that? No. So how? Drugs. Kan? What else? Change your lifestyle. Get rid of the source of overthinking. What if the source of overthinking is my job? Get rid of your job. What if the source of my overthinking is my wife? Get rid of your wife. You want your life?
Or your wife?
You don't have life, you don't have wife lah. So that doctor was making fun of me. I still remember his face. Kurang ajar doktor ni kan. Something wrong. So what if I don't do anything about it? You get Parkinson. And what do you call it when you don't have memory?
Dementia.
So I was scared lah. So I was thinking about quitting USM lah. But my wife was very, janganlah kan, bersabarlah. So nerve ya, kalau kita tak jaga nerve kita ada dua nadi ni. And most of the time we ignore this. But more interesting is that this has to do with my practice, which is media art kan. So these nadis from these pictures alone, next slide, very linear kan?
Yeah.
Bifurcation, and the word is fractals. Word is fractal, or something like a tree. And you see that in our veins, you see that in our everywhere, from our body to the microscopic level to the macroscopic level. This fractal, fractal or fraction, with something in the middle, like the central nervous system kan, macam nadi tu kan. So we have this synergy between human being and nature, and these nadis are our synergies. So you find that in river system, in delta system, everywhere, on the leaves kan, daun kan. So I call it senadi. Sedap kan?
Yeah, this is your term.
Yeah, I have to copyright lah.
Yeah.
So just in case lah kan.
Yeah, you better.
Mana tahu kan, siapa kabir nak curi apa, itu jadi tajuk pameran dia kan. Kan? Dia buat pameran solo dengan Wailing kan. Lepas tu tiba-tiba aku tengok lah poster senadi. Jadi everyone here be a witness. If you see a solo show called Senadi by Kabir Roslan, you know he took from where. Sorry Kabir, you jadi I punya bahan hari ni kan. But anyway, it's about interconnectivity, which no senadi disconnectivity, which is the source of pain. What is pain? Pain. Dukkha. Okay, next one. Okay, by the way, these are visualizations of nadis, pathways, media, madhyas. In a linear sense, we have this tunjang. In our body, it is our backbone. Very important. You have this in pohon beringin. This is also pohon beringin. I hijacked this from Niranjan. With permission ke? Inside my mind, telepathy. Because this is the human body. I'm not a doctor. Even though in my life now I have to see doctor many times. This is Gunungan from Java. It's the same language. Same language. All this media.
They're already there in a tradition.
So I don't look at computers, gadgets as gadgets. When you call it media, but what it means fundamentally, this. These are projections of this, especially this. That's what I learned. That's my interpretation. You can go on talk about whatever you want to talk about in technically about whatever gadgets that you're using. Okay, I'm not making enemy with that. But if you ask me, media reminds me of that. That is fundamental for me in understanding media. And it came from a tradition that is close to us. I don't want to use the word tradition because tradition is a word invented by the West when they come up with the term modern. Nanti kalau guna istilah tradisi itu berhati-hati kerana itu satu istilah yang dicipta oleh modernity yang dibawa oleh gagasan-gagasan dari penjajah. Melihat sejarah, looking at history in a very linear way. So when you look at, I'm sorry to art historian. I know you are familiar and you are so much in love with linearity. Again, it's important as well. But history is not, my interpretation in history is not linear. When you say history is linear, then you say, okay, we are here, we are modern, whatever that came before modern is tradition. And whatever that came before modern is not as canggih, as developed, as civilized as modern. Okay, that's the
connotation.
Not connotation. There's a books also about that. I learned about this from Prof. Ahmad Murad American. So I'm not an expert in social sciences. So be careful with the term tradition. Tradition but we still have to use it for familiarity.
It's still
used. Okay, not tradition. It's here and now. It's here and now. That's how I can describe it. It's been here without beginning, without ending. That's tradition. That came strongly in the East, but it's actually every human being. Okay, next one. So we go back to this center, and we see this mandala structure. You can see this in nature. We can see this, of course, in this example, ice. We see this in the what we call cymatics.
Right. Yeah. in nature.
Of course, if you like to read, if you want to enjoy this and go, maybe some of you know about this. What you call form is a frozen form of sound. Our body is a frozen sound. That's why sound is very important. Even kita punya molecular structure, kalau kita tengok dari satu sudut, kelihatan seperti satu mandala. Cymatics lah. Cymatics. So, I want to go to interconnectivity, but then interconnectivity in terms of what? This is my interpretation, 3 forms of relationship. If we disconnect, if there is any disconnection in any of these 3 relationships, there's no civilization. That's my theory. And that relationship must be driven by love and compassion. Nietzsche asked, no, what is love, what is compassion, I cannot explain. The best I can come up with the limitation of word is love is in connection. Love bukan Valentine Day. Bukan ship love tu. Love is connection. What is something opposite of love? No connection. Disconnectivity. What is compassion? Compassion, according to many traditions, I like this word, is the ability to forgive. People can love, but when somebody did something bad to you, you can't forgive. That's another root of dukkha, pain, penyakit. So what are the 3 relationships between God and humans, between humans and humans with nature, the universe, and all creatures? No connections, no civilization, everything is destructions. You cannot fight destruction, cannot fight. When you fight, you are in the frequency of, what do you call it, fight. You create more destruction. So my theory is that I hope one day AI will solve the problem. Okay, next. Okay. So these are some. This is a combination between pathway, secular spiral, which is based on Fibonacci numbers, Fibonacci proportion, golden proportion, and you can see this everywhere, within us, in nature, everywhere. In our next slide, in our visual tradition also, you can see this. Okay. So humans are madhya, nadi, mediator, between what? Between 2 complementary opposites, and I call that dance of the opposites. Complementary, not antagonistic. Okay? Bukannya jantan atau betina nak mengalahkan jantan atau nak menjadi lebih jantan. No, that is antagonistic. This is complementary. So madhya is dancing with these 2 complementary opposites, and we see that visually everywhere as well, from quantum level to galactic level. Okay. I'm not going to the moon yet.
No, not yet.
If I go to the moon, tell me, Hasnul, please come back to us. Okay, next. So this dance of the opposites you can find in many traditions, many spiritual traditions, including in our own tradition, in Asia, in Southeast Asia, in Nusantara region. The one on the left is it was done by a weaver in Kedah. Yeah. Multiple spiral. Okay. And before that, patah balik. You said patah balik. Sufi dance tu kan? Itu spiral also. the movement of the subatomic particle with the apa tu, nucleus at the center. What does it mean by nucleus also? We go into quantum physics, it will be totally different story, which we can go later lah. Okay, then we go back to this yin and yang. So it's not antagonistic. Within yin there's yang, between yang and yin. So the best I can come up with is the term complementary opposites, which means that positif dan negatif kan?
One and zero.
Cik Hasnul kena berfikir positif lah. Kan? Berfikir positif kan? Dia what do you call it? This positive philosophy. Kan? Jadi kalau sedih tu, negatifnya. Negatifnya kan? It's not that. That's my take lah. I don't subscribe to positive psychology. Because that means you are
Denying.
resisting what you assume as negative. Cannot. It both come together. If you want to understand sadness, you happy. You need no happy. You need to feel sad. So please understand this. So what does it mean fundamentally? It means the seed of creation is when there is positive and negative. There is a positive charge subatomic particle, negatively charged subatomic particle. Then only things appear, become things. Then only creation manifests. Then only there is a projection for you to experience. Without which, no creation. Okay. Alright, I hope boleh faham lah. Tak faham pun, boleh kau yang akan jawab. Next one. So we see that everywhere. I mean, like Fibonacci, we are at the center of the Fibonacci proportion. Next one. So this is what I meant by balance. Yin and yang. I mean, you guys can do your own research lah. I mean, it is self-explanatory. So it's not antagonistic. It is something that is within each and every one of us. So Madhya is dancing between these, fundamentally. The next one.
Which is your definition of media.
Yeah, so the resulting is the result of this dance of the opposites is creation, it's not destruction. So anything antagonistic, destruction. Kemusnahan. Anything complementary, penciptaan. Okay, next one. Sekejap patah balik. Ini apa benda aku cakap? Okay, this one. The tengkolok one. No. This one.
This one.
Alright, so examples, objective and subjective streams of consciousness, intangible, tangible, seen, unseen, feminine, masculine, light and dark. Kan? Darkness, always connotation is negative and darkness. No. Light and dark comes together. Okay, day and night. Bayangkan kalau hari siang dan hari malam bergaduh. Dia tidak bersetuju dengan sesama lain kan? Tak boleh kan? So heaven and earth, high tide, low tide, beginning and ending, birth and death, and many more. So in quantum physics, there is positive and negative kan? But then when you go to digital technology, you see 1 and 0.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 and 0. This one I got from a friend of mine. I don't have to mention his name, but if you want to ask me who his name, I can tell you later. This is what he asked me. Hasnul, what are you teaching? Media art. Okay, he's not a media artist. So what is the fundamental of media art? Hasnul, what do you mean? What's the fundamental of that language of media art? Must be binary language. So what is binary language, Hasnul? Kau ni drill aku kenapa kan? 1010 lah, 1 and 0. And then he asked me, what is 1 and 0? 1 0 lah, yes and no lah kan? Positif negatif lah. No, tak habis belajar. Ada pen tak? Pen. So this is what he did. There's a paper like this.
Oh ada, ni pointer pun ada.
Ya. Ini alat bantuan mengajar. Ini gadget kan? No point tu. Okay. This is what he did. This is a piece of paper. He said this is 1. 1, no beginning and no ending. And that's what he did. His gesture. So Hasnul asks you, what is 1, no beginning and no ending? So I leave it to you guys. I'm not going to share you what my answer was. But what is one, no beginning and no ending? One that is infinite. That's the foundation of digital language. What does it mean by that language? What is it pointing to? One, no beginning and no ending. What does it mean? Maybe you can ask AI. AI will answer. Or you guys, don't ask me. What does it mean by that? But that conversation with a friend unexpectedly was very profound to me about what actually I was studying when it comes to media art. Fundamentally, what I was actually studying when I was studying media art. When he asked me what actually is 1 and 0, what's the secret behind 1 and 0? So infinity cannot be grasped. But if you ask a mathematician what is infinity, does infinity exist? Mathematician will say yes. Can you show me? I can't show you because you cannot grasp and cannot show infinity, singularity. So what does it mean? That's that center, betul-betul di tengah, kosong.
Okay, now I think we're on the moon.
Zero. I'm not going to explain more, but go to the next one. Pasal benda ni bukan explanation. Benda ni menunjuk pintu. That center. What is this center? You go and ask quantum physicists. At the end of the day, you go deeper. What is it actually at the center? What's that center? That's from the Quran. Kullu fi falaki yasbahu. Two places in the Quran. But it's also symmetry. In other words, it's symmetry, kan? You see the symmetry. You see the symmetry in our tradition. What does it mean? This infinite. So I leave you guys, and you guys are all boleh berfikir sendiri kan, tak perlulah saya. But that's one, no beginning, no ending. So kalau pakai tengkolok, go back to tengkolok. Sebab kita ni sangat suka dengan tengkolok kan. Tengkolok. Pakai tengkolok. Lepas ini ingatlah, tengkolok ini adalah satu, tidak ada mula, tiada akhir. Tapi kalau pakai topi cowboy tak susah sikit lah. Pakai tengkolok. Okay, next one. I have to go fast. Okay, it's dance of the opposites. Has to do with balancing between two. So this zero, nothing. In Malay tak ada lah. In Arabic, la, lam, alif, la. This is from Nakula. So that center, all about centering yourself. Even if I'm standing, if there is a force stronger somewhere, I will fall down. So I have to center myself. All the time we are doing that actually, not before. Because center means all the forces equalize. Kan? Next one. Tengkolok, okay, this is the tengkolok. Saja je aku letak tengkolok ni kan. Okay. Again, the spiral. Okay, next one. This one I plot a brain there, left brain and right brain. Again, right. Not antagonistic. Science and art, subjective stream and objective stream. And this one, this is a poem bring in from the collection of USM. This one I put it upside down. I mean, literally looks like love, kan? So that's the brain and that's the heart, and we have to know how to balance these opposites. We are dancing. So we are the mediator dancing. We are the dancer, and we are dancing, and we are also the dancer. We are the dance also. So Roopesh is a dance, Hasnul is a dance, everybody is a dance. Next one. I want to summarize.
Yeah. So
So what is living experience in this context? Borrowed manifestations. I know I use this word, don't ask me to explain because I don't have time. It's a shadow, it's Maya, it's projection, but not projection mapping. When I say projection, it's not projection mapping. Okay? Holographic illusion, a play, a story, unfolding on a screen of our consciousness. Picture recitation, mental recitation. It's like our mind reciting electromagnetic signals to project what we call our objective life. Always changing, created. Thus the word new. Okay, dah settle. New media, art. Alhamdulillah. Okay dah, balik lah.
Okay. Okay. Dah balik dulu.
I know I took a little. I after this we will be faster
Yeah.
because this one is a bit.
Abstract.
Yeah, well, some people don't like abstract kan.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, so this now, I mean, one of the major thing I think all of us are anxious to see is like, how do we apply this? Right? Like, what we want to see.
Okay,
Like, so what does this mean? How do I interpret this in my practice, for example, right? So, I think the key principle is
Very important.
important. It will illustrate that. Like, how do you translate this? But before that, Prof, I have a question. When did you develop this? Like, was it back in the 90s itself? Like,
What I'm sharing with you is not just one day or a degree program or a PhD program, then got a doctorate. No. This is a lifetime. Maybe intensively for the past 30 years since I was in the US. Yeah.
So this is an accumulated knowledge over time.
Yeah.
One after.
So now I boleh cakap besar ke apa ke kan. So don't worry if you what the heck is this guy trying to say? Don't worry, I don't mind that. It's good. I was there so. Alright. So key principles. You have to go fast.
Okay.
Okay, I compared between these three. Traditional, I don't like to use the word traditional, I told you already. Cosmological, then there's modern, quantum. Now, from my POV, I have issue with this. Modern education, modern art, modern fashion, blah 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 blah. When modern and cosmological is trying to be friend, they cannot be friend.
Yeah.
They are antagonistic towards each other. But we skip this. Go to the next one. We skip this. When we put digital media, cosmological, quantum, they can be friends. They can hang out and they can sing a cappella that resonates. Not dissonant So those who make dissonant music tu lain lah. I tak pakai fahaman tu. So they speak in the same language and they resonate with each other. That's a hypothesis and has been proposed by many writers as well. Okay, next one. So what makes something new media? These are the key principles. Some of which I took from Manowich. Adaptive and modular, flexible and audience-centered, simultaneous, multiple viewpoints. This is very important. Non-linear. History, by the way, tadi kita cakap pasal history kan, is non-linear because the word for history in Arabic is sajaratun. Sajaratun in Malay, sejarah. Sajaratun means a tree. When you look at a tree, it's not just satu kayu saja. It's fractal, bifurcation, branching out, then go to a node, a point, and branching out again. Branching out. So it's non-linear. So sejarah, by the way, is non-linear actually. Interactive and dynamic, interconnected, interdependent. Nothing exists on its own. So siapa yang guna perkataan indie ni kena tambah depan dia inter-indie. Kan? Kau buat muzik apa? Aku inter-indie. Kan? Muzik kau macam apa? Jangan cakap indie kan. Indie old one. Different paradigm. I'm from an inter-indie band. Transdisciplinary, science and art, technology, culture. Highly networked. Next one. I have to go fast. Virtual, non-tangible, abstraction of a physical object. That's language actually. Information, data, digital, electronic technology that generates, stores and process data in terms of two states, positive and non-positive. But this is a very technical explanation.
Yeah.
So now, since you have been here, you will not look at 1 and 0 in this light anymore. Okay? 1, no beginning, no ending. Ingat yang tu. Bit, bytes, binary, I told you already. What is the meaning of binary? And convergence is the same thing. Okay. Alright. Okay, now paradigm shifts. I'll have to go fast. What were the hard trends or visible, tangible and soft trends, possibilities, worst case and best case scenario, speculation on what might be, shifting patterns and tastes. When I was in the 1990s, I was tasked to design many new programs. In UNIMAS, UMS, Sanfed, I was a committee member for Aswara, I was a committee member for OPSI at one point, so many. When I was tasked in UNIMAS, when I was asked to go to UNIMAS, I was told that I had to design a fine art program, not no media, by looking 50 years ahead. That was exactly the word that the Vice Chancellor used then. So I had to, do my research. So during that time, there's a literature or study called future study. Name some names that I can recall now. Alvin Toffler, Future Shock. Daniel Burus, Technotrends. John Nesbitt, Megatrend Asia, Megatrend 2000. That was in the 90s, because we are talking about 90s.
Yeah, 90s. Yeah.
So what are the predicted shifts and emerging trends then?
Yeah.
So next one. Then, yeah, not now. Now we are looking at what was predicted in 1993. Value from price to speed, from paying to products, pay for time, from material wealth, free time. Aku nak tanya, kau material wealth ke kau nak atau kau nak free time?
Free time.
Oh lah kan, this guy every time I call always busy man. So he is still in this paradigm. Again, he's not in that paradigm. I have free time now. Okay, how much you gonna pay me? How much do you want me? Do you want us to pay you, Hasnul? Don't bother me. Give me more free time. Okay, so information from access to capital, access to information, which is happening.
Yeah.
For the past
This has come
for the
to
past
pass.
30 years, kan?
Yeah, it has come to pass.
But when this was done, it was in 1993.
Cutting
It
edge.
was prediction by Daniel Burus. More information. I need more information. No, focus information. Kan? You know so much, but you are schizophrenic.
So,
And then you get mental health issue. Then you got anxiety, blah blah blah. Static information to dynamic information. So
yeah, all this has come to pass.
okay, we have we like to put diagram, isn't it? Okay, and then we make a hard copy and then we put it on the wall. That's non-dynamic. So next time when we go and see, maybe we go to ILHAM Gallery, curated by Rahel, and so you have the static one, and then suddenly you use your iPhone. Suddenly it becomes a change. It doesn't stay the same. That's dynamic information. Nothing actually stays. Automation and support to integration and coordination. Focus on technology. Kita harus memberi fokus kepada teknologi kan. Focus on how you want to apply
The technology.
technology there, but invent new way of using it, like in India.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Niranjan showed me a lot of examples of how they invent, reinvent existing technology. Next one. We have to go fast. I don't like globalization, sorry, but since Daniel Bruce used it, because I was schooled by many social scientists against globalization. It's like an extension of imperialism, extension of colonization. Anyway, thinking global to being global, internal market to global market, global competition, global cooperation, independence again to interdependence. But in a very predatory capitalist society, I don't believe this is happening. Yeah, it's just like sustainable development, blah, 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 all done to cover the behavior of the predator capitalists. Yeah, television, it's happening from reporting on something that has happened to report on something that is happening.
Yeah.
Now we have a combination of mass and multimedia,
Yeah.
where you can interact with broadcast. Yeah. Okay, this one is from Nesbit, just for us to share, and this is the big picture, lah kan? And this one was 1996, the same period of the show upstairs. Kan? From scientific revolution to renaissance of the arts. I'm not sure whether that's happening or not. Jadi ke ataupun angan sahaja? Kan? Kalau di USM tidak ada renaissance of the arts. I don't care. You can record this and show it to my vice chancellor. Yeah. Yeah. Quantity. Kan? And
quality
now, how many publication?
Oh.
Man, I got scopers. 5 scopers. How many PhD students? 40 I'm supervising. You know. What's the quality? Don't ask lah. So where are we? Kan? Ini predicted tahun 1996 kan. From nation state to networks. So we are not representing nation anymore. We are representing interests through networks. Shared ideals through networking. And that is happening, I think. From tradition, I like this word, choice. At the end of the day, we are making choice every moment. Government control, market driven, but both I don't like. Yeah. Okay, yang ini, I don't want to say anything. And ini pun, inilah predatorial capitalism. I like that word. I like that word kan. So farms to mega cities, I don't like that as well. Labor intensive to high technology, eventually will be AI. Male dominance, I like this, but I don't think it's happening. West to east, I also like it. But actually this one, for me, it's not a shift. It has to be complementary. Okay, this is new media paradigm. Massification, demassification.
Yeah.
Everything must be standardized. No, personalized and customized. I know most of us know about this already, just a revision lah kan. Analog, digital, but now we want to go back to analog. That's why I said it's not really a shift. It can be concurrent.
Yeah.
It can be complementary. Controlled by producer as facilitator. And we have this, what do you call it? Web
4.0, whatever. 2.0 lah, 3.0.
Word revolutionize and
IR5
akan meruntuhkan dominasi penyangat kapitalis. Dia peer-to-peer punya sistem. That one will with AI will emerge. Specialist with separated skill, generalist with network skill, hierarchy which is Vice Chancellor kau bagi tahu TNC bagi tahu pada ketua program, dekan begitu kau paling bawah sekali. Kan. Di bawah lagi student. Student masters kan. Student PhD kan. Itu ke bawah. Organizational man to migrant professional, psychomotor, physical skill to cognitive and mental skill, product to service, global competition, global cooperation, independent, dominance to interdependence and synergy. I'm not sure whether that is taking place. I think it's getting worse. Okay, boring. Next one. Okay, 1990s ya. So few polemics arise, many questions asked. So next. So questions were discussed through interconnected theories. So we go to theories. Before I show you my work.
This is the 90s, right?
1990s, what I went through. Okay, I'm not asking you to read this or to use this. Oh, Cik Hasnul nak buat PhD mati Cik Hasnul. Kan, kau nak buat PhD 3 tahun je kan. Aku 30 tahun lain. Kan. Driven by passion, driven by my interest, driven by my own question. Whenever I was driven by any kind of question that I had in my mind, things will appear to me, including books. Mostly I didn't buy also. At one point in Pulau Pinang, I was asking about quantum physics, a book about quantum physics. I found it kat mana kau tahu? Pasar Karat. I was asking about it too much kan. It manifested in my life. So this appeared throughout my, I call it, journey into media. Simulacra, Baudrillard.
Yeah, these are all fundamental texts.
Oh, ada lah. Senarai bacaan kan?
Mesti.
Okay, jadi kita anggap mengulang lah kan? Kalau
So
tak baca tu, tak dapat degree lah. Alah. Knowledge and Power, Foucault.
Mesti.
Dia baca? Dia baca kan? Dia tak baca pun. Oh, Foucault. Okay. Media Imperialism, Chomsky.
Yeah.
Dulu Pak Mail, dia baca Structural Anthropology. Namanya Levi. Strauss. Strauss, kan? Strauss. So when he was mentioning, he was saying Strauss. Ni Taufik, Fauzin, Makno, kan? Strauss ni apa Hasnul? Login tu lah, Levi Strauss tu bro. Dia structural anthropology. Dia multi-purpose bro, kan? Jadi kita pergi check kan? Jadi Levi Strauss tu sebenarnya structural anthropologist kan? Lepas tu dia kata post apa? Post structuralist kan? Post structuralist ni macam post ni, bila katakan post ni macam post office ke? Kan? Dalam masa student tu kau kena ingat, student tu tak cerdik lagi. Jangan pakai sedap cakap post tadi kan? Budak tu pun post office ke apa ke? I was like that before, you know. So this one is also, this is my POV. No, it's a big word, epistemological shift, meaning shift in the way we define knowledge. It's very critical. I have issues with this when it comes to scientists. The way they define the value of knowledge, as if only empirical knowledge is important. I have a problem with this. Critics of positivism, this ni ada positivist stance. Critic of capitalism, technology, and hyper-consumerism. Those are some names. Those are private school.
Well, I don't think people nowadays even refer to this. These are fundamental theories you should know. But people don't even look into philosophy.
All these people appear in my life now. It's my projection of my interest. Eventually they will go back and they will see who the heck is Horkheimer ni kan. Kalau Kelantan ni Horkheimer tu. Yang Horkheimer tu. Horkheimer tu lah. Yang Horkheimer tu lah. Kan. Kan. I don't know. Kan. Eventually they will know. Zerzan questioning technology. This one is what I call post-structuralist. Death of the author, Roland Barthes, deconstruction, Derrida. Ini semua geng-geng postmodern lah. Geng-geng postmodern. Ini social and peer ni biasalah semiotik kan. Kalau tak belajar semiotik, tak lulus.
I don't know how you go without semiotic like that.
I went through this lah, but I'm not an expert in all this. I'm not a theoretician, but I am a firm believer of organic feedback system between practice and theory. Practice inform theory, theory inform practice. It's feedback. Next one. Okay, banyak kan? Jadi jangan panik. Saja-saja je nak bagi anda overwhelmed kan? Quantum physics lah pula. Tak habis aku belajar 30 tahun ni. Brain and mind studies, I was interested in this. I'm not interested. It appeared in my intellectual journey. Cognitive and neuroscience, consciousness, learning theories, of course, as a lecturer we have to learn lah. So these are few names. Fridtjof Chopra, bukan Deepak Chopra. Baca juga yang itu. Fridtjof Chopra, dia physician. Dia physics, ahli fizik. but he was sidelined by his community of scientists
okay.
because he started to write about the relationship. Then he wrote this article called "The Tao of Physics." Once he start to write about the Tao of physics, all the scientist community just simply brush him aside.
Okay.
Stuart Davis Hamerhoff. Hamerhoff is a brain study. This one kalau you cikgu, you kenal lah, Bloom, Springer,
Yeah, this is,
Ozan, Mac, Cobb. This one still resonates until today. Nowness, cosmology, some people call it New Age spiritualism. Ini semua aku layan. Emotional intelligence, what is it? Contemplative science, inner quality of being, internet, inner self, mindfulness, knowing oneself. You guys can go through this, and maybe some of them you have read some of their materials. This one I did in 1990s. Alvin Toffler, Burroughs, Nesbitt. Alvin Toffler, Future Shock. I read it in 1990s, I think. Marshall McLuhan, Medium as the Message. Neil Postman, dia tentang keruntuhan masyarakat Amerika Syarikat. Okay, new media ni biasalah. Manoisme kan. Next one. Teori ini memang membosankan, but I like to quote from a late friend of mine, Zawawi Ibrahim, in reference to Iron Ang. This one is from cultural studies perspective. Culture as a site of struggle, the contribution of cultural studies. Because I like the word in between tadi, because it relates to media art. Looking to the future of cultural studies, specifically in relation to how an interdiscipline will be able to maintain a space for itself in the uneven and moving terrain of disciplinary intermixture, and suggests that it is perhaps the space of the inter-indie. Itu bagi istilah baru lah. Inter-indie, the in-between, a position driven by ambivalence. Tak tahu. Ini tak tahu kan? Dia tak definitif kan? Marked by both insecurity and creativity, brought about by the ambiguities of unbelonging that cultural studies may come to occupy. Ini cultural study punya social scientist. Bila dia tulis, dia write, they like to go here, there, sampai KL, sampai ke Pulau Pinang, tak balik ke KL, berhenti kat sini, kita dapat semelit. So I have to translate to you kan. For her, it is this intellectual hybridity, this hybrid space within the epistemic, which means something about knowledge, landscape of the humanities and social science today, that cultural studies should seek to explore. So cultural studies, they don't like to be in a definitive zone. They like to explore non-definitive zone, the in-between zone. I like that. I'm not forcing you guys to do that, but I like that. So kalau orang buat painting, kan, yang satu ni kelas dia drawing, aku suka yang tengah-tengah tu. Kau buat drawing ke painting? Kau akan masuk kelas tu. Kan? Macam karya kawan saya Taufik, menang bakat muda sezaman, tajuknya Sculpture Print MI. So the work was having identity crisis. Sebab dia tak tahu dia sculpture atau apa kan. So these are the keywords: interactive and interdependent, selective use, and bring together other disciplinary knowledge and intellectual resources into its own framework, diverse intersections with other disciplines. Okay, this is my way of framing it, put it in a diagram. So we are mostly in humanities, okay, central the arts. So we can be complementary to technological studies and scientific studies. These are some of the keywords that have been, and also initiatives that have been done in USM and other places. So disciplinary to transdisciplinarity, center to periphery, cultural studies, revisiting traditional notion of convergence, local wisdom, regionalism, critical regionalism. Siapa yang Pak Mai? Kenneth Frampton.
Kenneth.
Return to tradition. This garden metaphor is Tan Sin Zone, my ex-boss. Innovation, art and science, arts and sciences. Blue Ocean, exploring less explored territory. So what is fine art in my interpretation? So my interest is how fine art can be relatable to drama and theatre, to music, to film TV, to design, even architecture, and so on and so forth. That's my position. That's why somehow, because of this driving force, somehow I found myself doing projects with people in film, people in theatre, people in music, people in
Which we will see in the practice later.
Then people ask me, Hasnul, actually kau ni apa? Aku apa-apalah, aku suka kumpasan lah kan. So that's why. Because they are so defined by disciplinary boundary.
Yeah,
and
silos.
I live my life for the past 30 years having to definitively define my practice according to very strict confinement, which I
silos.
found very unsettling. Can we take a break for a while
Yeah, sure. So,
before I show my
practice.
work?
Yeah.
So,
So we'll take a 5 minutes break. We'll come back at
no more talk, just show.
4:35. Toilet break. Okay. Terima kasih.
Tapi kalau nak balik tu kesian lah saya. Nak balik dulu kan. Minum juga.
I mean, in a way, I've been signaled like, there is a limit to this. We can't go on until 7. Okay? So, we have to go quite fast. And then another thing is, again, of course, if you have any question, please ask. Don't wait until the end. That's one. And of course, at the end also, once we are done, Prof will be around. You can also meet and discuss. Okay. So yes, please. We are in.
Okay. We go fast.
Yeah, you have to go fast.
Okay, I want to show this in the precious metal. Kita dah sini ya.
Yes.
Okay, before 1990s, you have to go to late 80s. So I call it preludes to 1990s. So when I was in ITM, these were some of the things that took place in UITM then, from my POV.
Right.
Okay, my peers and my seniors were doing material explorations. Even though they did painting, it was not anymore conventional. Okay, so these are the names of people who I look up to before when I was junior. And also my peers like Makno, Taufik and Makno is here by the way. Zulkifli Yusof, he was 1 year junior. So these were people who were expanding the language and the approach to fine art. And then there was this thing called AD projection.
Yeah.
And this one was given to me to lead by Ponirin Amin. Profound. Little gesture. Art without boundaries. Art beyond. I think art without boundaries is good. Taufik kan? And he gave to me and Taufik. And that blew us up. And we explored that through printmaking and we got into trouble. And then Ponirin just hide away. He was provoking us. And then when other lecturers do, kau buat printmaking ke buat apa ni? So Dr. Kenny, Amiga computer, not Macintosh. Amiga computer, 1980s. Ismail Zain, of course, Macintosh.
Yes.
And very important name, Muhammad Lodin and Najib Noor, engaged with performance.
The performance, yeah.
So we need to know that preludes. Okay, these are the people. Fauzan Omar, he came up with the idea of expanded media.
Right.
Not using conventional materials. Okay, next. Okay, these are
The music and
Najib Noor,
Yeah.
Arwah,
Yeah.
Mauludin still around. So we did this experimental performance, Kotak-Kotak, directed by Najib Noor, that was done in Creative Center, National Art Gallery, when it was at the Majestic Hotel.
When was this? This is
1989. It was part of our what do you call it? Zaman Rempat. Betul Taufik ya? Di center stage, tidur di atas balita dan sebagainya, menjadi crew untuk production. So we did this. And then this one is I constructed this from Ismail Zain's digital collage. He was the art director for this theatre called Chindai. So I did this with Fauziah, my friend. So this is what interdisciplinary meant for me personally. And we did this show as a way of graduating from center stage called Empat Persepsi. So we have 3 members here. Fauziah as always kena pergi majlis kahwin. Bukan dia kahwin. Okay. But even during that time, we were very multidisciplinary. So we did a gig where we invited Dita dancer, Gitan dancer, what's the name of this composer? And Edin Khoo.
This is before you went to US.
1989. So we were doing this, what you guys are doing now in what you call it, pop-up market lah, benda kan. Kan. So kita dah awal-awal dulu kan. Next. Ini saya punya guru lah, yang saya anggap sebagai guru, yang saya belajar secara langsung, yang tidak langsung. Ismail Zain, Piarasa, Sulawesi, Sagapati, dan
Of course.
Ismail Zain's work, apa dia panggil? Al-Kisah. There's another one I didn't have it here, which is Rumi.
Rumi, yeah.
I have been knocking, I have lived on the lip of prison, wanting answers, knocking on a door. It opens. I've been knocking from inside. And that Rumi's poem, I don't want to brag, probably only now I understand. So this one is banyaklah ditulis pasal benda kan. This is digital collage using dot matrix printer, 1988.
Yeah. So this is part of the DC.
So when I went to the US, I brought my knowledge about Spencer and also his catalog,
which is the digital collage catalog.
Yeah.
Digital collage, just to give a context for digital collage is a solo exhibition, am I right?
Yeah. First solo exhibition of an artist known as a painter. Suddenly he moved into digital, using the first Steve Jobs product,
Macintosh,
which at one point belonged to me for 10 years.
Yeah.
Now I gave it to the
MGTF.
people of Malaysia.
This
one, my teachers, my gurus in the US, Brandon Miller, Emmy Award winner. My mentor, video activism, not video art, video activism for community. Miroslav Ragala, he was the one who brought me in. He was actually my supervisor, very prominent video artist, video installation artist.
Yeah, still practicing, bro.
Huh?
He's still practicing.
He's still practicing. Yeah, but he's so polished. Polished. Niranjan, my godfather, of course. It was called computer music composition. It was called electroacoustic sound and music. So I learned formally electroacoustic music from this guy. Another one is Pauline Oliveira. I didn't have her picture. These two are Berkeley mix electroacoustic duo. I collaborated with them. They were my thesis examiners. Okay. Zaman remaja. That's the studio.
That's in Rensselaer. That's in RPI, right?
RPI. So you see how big it is? It's an analog system. Okay. Pneumatic tape. Then jog wheel. So you want to go from hour minute 5 to 2 hours. The next 2 hours you have to with the
linear editing.
This is called linear editing. Now we edit with this. See how far? This one 30 years ago, and now we edit. This is the office. When I asked the technician then, Jimmy, are we going to be able to edit on a computer? This is what he said to me. Until the fat lady saying, mustahil lah kononnya. Now here we are. Next one. Just to give the perspective of what happened 30 years ago, 1990s. Okay, these are the list of my works in 1990s. So I was very, as you can see, very productive lah kan.
But Prof, the first two lines are in the US, right? Am I right?
Yeah, the first one.
The second.
The land, Aotearoa, collaborative with electroacoustic musician. Rainforest images, collaboration with electroacoustic musician. Post-colon, you showed it in
in relocations,
and return of a native video and video installation. I did this. Witness in the Precious Garden, proclaim all in the USA. Okay, next one. These are works in the USA. Actually, proclaim the source came from USA, but then I came back, went to work with Hafsa Hassan. I used her editing studio to do
Which one, Prof? The one you won award in the
yeah,
US?
Proclaim won video art. I don't forget the name of the festival.
In US, right? West.
No, this one was in Malaysia.
Oh, okay. In the 90s.
Return of a Native in US. Best student video, Atlanta Film and Video Festival.
Okay, so this one.
Walaupun saya bukan UH ahli lah kan. Okay, I want to show you.
This
What
one.
is this?
This one.
This one is Proclaim. No sound.
When was this done, Prof?
90. Source 1993, done 1994. I think so.
Was it ever presented in Malaysia?
It was it won award.
Ah.
Malaysian video, I don't know what they call it.
Oh, back then by Sony.
Not Tony, another one. But this one is a transfer from Unity to VHS.
So all this you have the VHS now, you have transferred all to digital.
Now mostly digital, but I'm very bad with that.
Documentation.
Documentation, yeah, terrible.
This is precursor to independent filmmaking that we have came after, right? The independent filmmakers and
Before,
this is before, right? This is a precursor to that.
it was that time if you do film that people cannot understand, it was called experimental film. So Hasnul, kau buat film ke? Experimental film. Satu because I don't know film. Macam music lah, kalau
Right.
belajar music, kau cakap lah experimental music. I use the digital collage, so there's no animation or whatever. The slideshow.
Transitions.
This is a precursor of my current project called Hero. So please come to Penang and go and see and experience Hero.
Yes.
This is the precursor.
Hero runs until March, right? March. So please to
So
MGTF.
you can see this, and then you can go to that exhibition and you can experience it. You can see the continuity from this work which was done 30 years ago.
Yeah, and
So sometimes the seed of an artwork, current artwork, can be like 30, 40 years ago.
Well, obviously the judges did understand something, no? From
She's a filmmaker, I forgot her name. She's quite prominent in 1990s. Produced few films. This image came back in another work in 2011, Veil of an Artist. By the way, those hands belong to her. That's you see, Adila. Yeah, she was my muse.
Of course, now looking back, it feels very dated.
I don't care. It feels very meaningful to me. But dated in regards to technology, yes.
Yeah. I am referring to because I think the aesthetics of it also is very much driven by the technology
You
scratching.
see the movement.
Yeah.
Now they simulate that digitally.
Yeah. Now everything.
This is not tekan butang simulate VHS. It was actually VHS. So that's Adila. Adila, have you seen this? You haven't. See, even my daughter she don't know. I was doing it in silence. You know, men cannot share too much with the wife and daughters. Not macho, yeah.
Why did you decide not to have audio? I would imagine you can. If you...
Silence, wisdom, bro.
Okay. Obviously, I'm not smart enough.
When we are when we are in silence is the alpha state. We refer to Nadi tadi. Go ascend. First thing you have to enter is a silence mode, which is a beta wave. So it's like shut the fuck up. Okay, that's Proclaim, 1993-94. There's a digital print version of Proclaim, which is in the collection of the National Gallery of Malaysia. That's the digital version.
Also, it's an extension of this.
That's the it's the same work but in a digital print version. So it came from this work.
Okay, the video came first.
That batik appeared again in Kedai-Kedai Ong.
Okay. Later on.
Yeah. Of course, when you have your works collected, people see the work only. You see the interconnection between this work and that work. Just see that work. And then, you get students doing assignments. Just know what's the meaning of Kedai-Kedai Ong. Another one email me. Just know what's the idea there. So until one point, can you throw that idea away? Because I got so tired of explaining this thing. So you see the word cycle there. There were hints of where I was living.
Oh, Unimas.
This one was done. So I used the material that I brought back from the US. Okay, next one is the next slide. Okay, this one is for Return of a Native. It's about East and West, track between two different values, modernity and tradition, and I turned it into video. And then I just tried my luck. I sent it to 70th Atlanta Film and Video Festival. It got an award under Best Student Film. When I received the review, the reviewer explained that my work didn't speak in film language. Wow, eksperimental lah kan? Buat eksperimental boleh menang film award. Kan? But then I came back, I saw you way, I just retired from doing experimental video lah. Anyway, ini sebagai daripada visual lah next. Okay, this is
this one. Yeah.
Okay, maybe this is the last one lah. The last one, because tak ada masa. My master's thesis.
Yeah, this is the MFA thesis.
Master's thesis. I don't have to explain because the video explained. Just for the context. First major electronic artwork that I did. 1993 for my master's thesis. Never shown in Malaysia.
Yes.
Okay?
We tried to recreate the relocation, but it was pretty expensive, so we couldn't.
So then somehow, out of any expectation, somehow there was a request from the National Gallery of Singapore
And yes.
to purchase the work.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's about Singapore, right? It is suspicious, huh? Why? How do you know about it? So they were already coordinating everything. So they didn't want the other works, whatever. They said, you want your first work when you was doing it in the USA. Okay, this next video is an explanation of that work that I gave in front of the work when it was exhibited at the National.
When was this one? Last year, right?
Bila
24.
eh 24 lah.
20, oh, this year. This year.
This year 25 bro.
Oh, sorry, 24, yes.
Alah sangat dengan fikir kan, overthinking kan. So
Yes,
this is the
25.
explanation I was explaining to my niece.
23, okay.
Yeah, 23. Yeah. Okay. So this is the last one. That's it. So the work is called In the Precious Garden, Reading of a Silence Wisdom. For this show, they just use the short title, In the Precious Garden. It's actually my master's thesis that I did when I was doing my master's in electronic art at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Troy, New York, in 1993. It was accompanied by a written thesis called Aesthetic Expression of Tauhid. So personally, it was inspired by her birth. Yes, her birth. So Chu was accompanied by Chu. Chu came with Chu when I was in the US. So she gave birth to her, to Adila. So personally, it was inspired by her birth. Academically, it was part of my research. I researched on cosmology, research on geometry, infinity, on Islamic Sufism. Okay, so my idea was to create a meditative installation space where we can meditate upon the oneness of creation. So I use the language of geometry because language of geometry has been used in many different cosmologies all around the world, from different religious traditions, different spiritual traditions as well. So I like to play with the time and space, especially when it comes to video. For this one, I use what it is called fraction. So you can see this big clause is actually what I call text poem. That text poem was actually based on writings of Sheikh Qadir Al-Jalani, Sufi Guru, also from Rumi, Liu Aiming from Al-Ghazali, also some from the Quran. So I wrote this text poem. Instead of writing it in a normal paper, I wrote it in a spiraling fashion. So you start from the lid, in the base of this garden, then you go on and on. But definitely you can't read the whole thing. Okay, the idea is you're going to give up. So it's very difficult to stay on the path, and you can't really experience infinity. Anyway, so what I do is this text poem was then repeated 12 times. Okay, it becomes this 12 circle. Then again repeated and repeated, repeated. That's fractal. Until this whole thing becomes just a dot. So that idea theoretically can go on and on until it can go microscopically, and this thing can also be a part of something larger. So that's infinity. So infinity relates to the idea of greatness of God. God represents infinite compassion and love. So when she was born, I felt immersed in infinite love. Everything disappeared, dissolved, even I disappeared, and I felt like I was immersed in infinite ocean of love. So as you know, infinity, if you ask mathematician, infinity is there. But you cannot see infinity, you cannot experience infinity, you cannot grasp infinity. Because there's no beginning, no ending. So those are the attributes of God, and we belong to infinity, our soul. So that's the idea. That's the video was actually a translation of this. So I created a 1-hour video, and it is displayed on the square. 3 monitors. You see the square?
And then on the smaller circle, that is a compressed version of 1 hour. So it's a 5 minutes compressed version, repeated 12 times. It's the same factor. And then even smaller circle is a 25-second compressed version of the 5 minutes. Okay? So I can compress it if I want to, theoretically. So until the 1 hour video will become like a flash. But I made it in an orbiting way. It suggests everything moves in a cycle according to the rule of nature that governs all the natural phenomena. So all of us are interconnected by this law of nature. You can obey or you can disobey. But if you obey the law of nature, you will become a good citizen of the world. We are all binded by that, interconnected by that law. Fitra. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. That's my sharing.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you so much, Prof. We learned a lot today. Round of applause. So I'll quickly open up for Q&A. Please use the mic, right? You will, so if you have, please. Yes, any questions? Open the floor quickly. Comments? Oh yes, please, yes, Sobin.
Hasnul, very wonderful. It's good to listen to this lecture again. Can you just share with us, like, how do you play around with this idea of the center and in between? Very often, in a very modernist way of thinking of politics, when they say a center is always the seat of power, but how, by being center as is media, and also be in between, can you play with letting go of power whenever you are also given power in a certain way? Power here doesn't mean something negative or positive, but I like this kind of the paradox between the center and in between. How do we negotiate, or how do you navigate this in a sense? If it's ever an issue, perhaps it isn't. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sobin. Center in this sense is nothingness. It has nothing to do with politics of being in the center or the periphery or the margin. Don't go there. I'm not interested in that. Totally not interested. My perspective on that center is inward. There's no outward, it's inward. It's actually a loop. Okay, I'm going to share this. If you don't understand, it doesn't mean you are stupid. It means I'm not good in articulating. So it has nothing to do with external manifestations of whatever we call a labelless politics. It has to do with the politics within one's own mind. Okay? Settle that. For me, what I've learned, I'm now 60 years old, that's the seat of all civilization. Each and every one of us is a universe by himself or herself. Go and explore that universe. If we want to change whatever projected world that we call politics, from a lower vibration, from a manifested point of view, it's not going to solve problem. That's what I believe. So it has nothing to do with whatever that you like to term as politics. Bahasa yang kita tengok itu adalah proyeksi masalah yang ada di dalam diri manusia. Sekiranya ia timbul dalam radar kita, maknanya ia datang daripada proyeksi masalah yang timbul dalam diri manusia. AI adalah proyeksi kepada keinginan manusia untuk menjadi pandai. Yang kereta adalah proyeksi kepada keinginan manusia untuk berkembara dengan laju. Begitu dengan kapal terbang. Kan? Anak saya adalah proyeksi kepada kasih sayang saya kepada isteri saya. Tak maaf itu dia. Saya punya jawapan. So go back inward. I suspect, this is my hypothesis, and it's a very wild hypothesis, mostly probably a hope. Whatever issues that are can be solved through empirical methodology, science, technology, the empirical side, the objective side. AI will take over. That includes whatever system, political system, economic system, that are dominating now. AI will kill that system. Not human being. Not human being. So, if human being wants to change, what we say change that is taking so-called, apa dia panggil? Activism, moves from the frequency of resistance. It will create more resistance. If you try to fight external manifestation of greed, which in the form of rasuah, by fighting the manifestation, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. For me, it doesn't work. I'm sorry, that's my take. I'm not trying to impose it. Why? Because you are reacting to your own feedback, and you will increase that feedback, and the world will be infested more and more with rasuah, whatever lah, destruction of alam sekitar, genocide. So that, from what I this one since 30 years ago, akan muncul. Memang ada Terminator semua tu kan. Itu dari, jangan underestimate science fiction. Jangan underestimate science fiction. Itu satu bidang yang penting ya. So kita sentiasa ada this apocalyptic projection of technology, AI macam mana kan. And that also is a projection also of insecurity. I don't have to manifest that. For me, that will be something that AI will do, and I think we are close to that. It's not short. Give and take 10 years. Tengoklah nanti. Okay, nanti lagi 10 years boleh panggil kita. Tak ada apa-apa, tak ada apa-apa. Tak apa lah, lepas tu saya boleh mengaku lah. So what's going to happen to human beings? Whatever that AI cannot touch. What is it? Love, compassion, higher awakening, understanding what it means by being at the center, what it means by nothingness. Sadi Bejonik kata apa tu? Nothing is secret. Ajar lah dia kan. Dia ni membenci kan segala benda yang sakral kan. Tapi betul lah dia cakap tu. Nothing is actually secret. The secret is in the nothingness, ku in Japanese. And this nothingness, I cannot explain. That's the direction of humanity going to, because we're going to have ample time to go into that. Macam mana masalah banjir, masalah manusia kena gedebak-gedebu itu kan. That is an example of thinking from a lower vibration perspective. So maybe I'm not very good in articulating this, and I have to admit it is very difficult to articulate. But deep in my heart, there will be more and more and more. As much as there are manifestations of this inner nadi yang rosak, greediness, jealousy, hate. These are nadi yang rosak. Don't look at the manifestation in a form of genocide. This race is trying to get rid of another race. Those are manifestations. What's the root of it? It's inside and within. So if we want to change it, we cannot change it in the level of manifestation, which is a lower level vibration. We have to change it in the higher vibration, higher frequency. And where is that higher frequency? Not at other people, blah, blah, blah. Each and every one of us. Because at the end of the day, what we carry to our kubo is not other people. We carry to our kubo our POV, our memory, our feelings, our thinkings. Mati. Oh, mati habis ya. Malah quantum physicist kata we are energy. Kita tak mati, kita transform. Once you exist, you exist. You can exist. You tak boleh kata aku tak exist. Tak boleh. But in a different form. So understand that. So for me, I'm not interested to look at projections anymore. Those are projections of our issues. So if we want to change, we change our inner vibration. And I hope I have more time. Yeah. That's my message. Life is short. You don't know. Besok mati ke, lusa ke mati kan. The person that you need to save is yourself. Yourself is worth saving. Okay, you save yourself, we save the whole humanity. Okay, so I'm a bit emotional about it. I hope I can still be if my life is extended, hopefully sampai tua kau jumpa gue, I will commit myself to this. And I believe that the world is going towards that. It will come out. This soft part of human, what we call development. What we call development by this lower vibration paradigm is not development, is destruction. And this will go down the drain. It is crumbling down. It is crumbling down. If you look at the politics, so I'm not interested in looking at the manifestation. Whatever you call it lah kan, politik lah, ekonomi lah kan, race relationship lah, ethnic relationship lah. It is the relationship of you within yourself, you God, if you believe in it, I don't know lah. You with nature, with your other fellow human beings. Fellow human beings are your projection. If you think and feel from the frequency of anger, you tengok yang nampak dalam radar ni politik anger lah. Kena pergi pameran orang pelukis yang angry lah. Dan you pergi dengar, you nak dengar lagu-lagu yang aku kena dengar lagu-lagu marah. Because you are working from that frequency. That will be your universe. I'm not interested in your universe. Maybe that's why you don't exist in my radar anymore. Maybe his frequency is too much about MMU. It's not in my radar. He cannot be by my side all the time. If I feel love, maybe my daughters will appear in front of me, my wife. But sometimes my wife cannot be all the time dekat depan radar aku kan. Aku fikir benda lain tak. So that's my take. So maybe once I put myself in this frequency, those who are interested in manifestation of politics, blah blah blah, will not be in my radar. It's not that I don't friend you, but you don't exist in my universe anymore. You are not part of the screen of my consciousness anymore. Okay? So, yeah, I'm not interested in external manifestation of politics. I'm interested in the politics of the inner self. I don't want to share this kind of thing. Seriously, but I was diagnosed stage 4 cancer last year. You don't come to me you know, so Hasnul, kau nak mati ni, bagaimana pandangan kau tentang politik madani? Ni aku nak entertain benda macam tu ke? PMX ni mana PMS? Come on lah. So you don't have to exist in my radar. And you are not going to be in my radar. You're not going to be in my universe. You are not going to be. And it's okay, nothing to do. It's okay, there's no problem. So if that is our take, then why don't we create our own radar? Why don't we create our own manifestation? Why don't we create our own projections? But once you choose resistance, then your life is full of resistance. Once you bergerak atas dasar melawan, lawan rasuah, you bergerak atas frekuensi lawan dengan rasuah. Jadi you vibrate, you magnetize rasuah lawan. You jumpa orang yang buat rasuah dan you jumpa orang yang melawan you lah. You kata itu you punya lawan. Sebenarnya you yang magnetize that to project and build in our life. So I have a choice. What choice do I have? Peace, love, compassion. So I know this is like counterproductive, because we have been framed by this thought there is a thing outside. No, it's all our projection. Which brings back, that's why I took a lot of time to explain what does it mean by media and what I've learned after 30 years. What does it mean by media? We are that media. So apa ni, Roopesh ke? Yeah, his projection of my interest in sharing my passion and knowledge about discovering orang rahsia manusia. Dia appear lah. Kalau saya fikir pasal saya ada soalan je, akan datang muncul buku dan sebagainya. So I'm sorry if I sound emotional, but it is very emotional. Sebab saya kena decide lah kan, Hasnul, kau nak mati atau kau nak hidup? Yeah. So when you are that close to kubur, you punya paradigm shift tu, paradigm shift lah. Ini paradigm shift tu lain. So kalau nak try boleh lah kan. Masa nak mati tu tunjuk karya kau, yang marah-marah tu kan. Cuba why don't bring this along when you die. Apa tak nak bawa? So apa yang kita nak bawa? Yang we bawa, bring it now. Bring it now. Bring it into presence, into our beingness. So being what? Choose. Be in peace. Be love. Be lover. Be compassionate. Inshallah, we change the world.
Thank you. So I think with that we'll end the session. Thank you.